Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining Archangel Alts, streaming with you to trade live without a net. So it's about 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and trading here on the 10th of February 2019. Some interesting stuff going on in the market. I know it's a kind of a crazy late time to be doing this, and excited for anybody that decides to drop by, but this is what I'm going to be doing whether I'm alone or with crowd, so might as well use this as a teaching tool. And this is a public stream, so it's not part of we're launching our two groups, our free forever and our paid subscription forever, unlimited. Hope to have that coming soon. So looking first of all at BTC, very happy to see that it has been holding at its new position up here. It climbed up here, and you can see it's been staying pretty steady up here, 3600s. Did pop up to around 3680, and it is, fallen a bit over here. And that's part of why I'm here, because I'm looking at that activity, and there's some stuff that was spiking the other direction. Let me see if I can find those again. May not find them as quickly as I did in the prompting to come jumping up here. Let's see. I honestly moved so quick I didn't even have a chance to take a note of what I was. Okay, that's one of them. That's interesting. It's a pretty substantial move. About 150 points there. Well, you can always look at the 24-hour change and see. Theta is one of them. Yes, for sure. Okay. I really like Theta coin. Really like TNT. Raven did the same. REQ not so much. DND, Phoenix. Phoenix is just having some good movement in here, and need to clear. This will be a very long time. ONT, thanks so much. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So yeah, I always like it when things seem like they're picking up a little bit, and then this drop right here providing an opportunity. I think Doc was one of the ones I was looking at that if well, yeah, see, that was kind of the perfect bounce there. I was very concerned that if it dropped sync right at the bottom of this, that it would just keep going down. And there's still a chance that it's going to do that. But Doc is at a very low volume, and it may not take a whole lot for me to find a position that I'm happy about. So I'm going to check this out. I'm going to I always like to come in a little bit low and test it out. So Archangel Alts, what are we all about? Well, we have been working really hard to get good at this stuff for over a year, and literally 14 to 17 hour days. Having learned from a lot of really smart people, found that there are just some little loopholes that I don't see other people doing. And as the market has gotten more and more difficult, a lot of people have lost a lot of money. And I join a lot of forums and read a lot about the market, and it just seems to me like it is helpful and healing to me to not just be on this journey 14 to 17, sometimes even 20 hours a day on my own, but to try to be a service to others and help them navigate all this stuff. And we have a very challenging but promising, fun, long-term goal that we're trying to build this process to get to our, just get to the place where we are seeing the fruits of our labors. It's kind of tough to walk and chew gum at the same time sometimes. So I'm curious to see. I may have already missed the bounce, just in the technical process of making sure that I got the stream right. In fact, I'm going to listen to myself in the background, so there'll be a little bit of echo. So I want to just make sure that this is working correctly. Yep. Okay. We're live. Trading with you live without a net. What do I mean by live without a net? We do not use stop loss. Our process does not follow what decades of analysts and strategies have suggested to learn how to basically take gambling and reduce the risk in gambling, and then learn to hedge against your bets to push the odds in your favor, so that instead of the odds being towards the house, being towards the player. Hello, Technologic. How you doing? Good to see you here. I think we had a really interesting 4-hour stream yesterday, and you and SEB were here, and my intro was like several minutes longer than I wanted it to be. So I tried doing an edit, and that edit is still sitting in YouTube. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's a 3-minute and 40-second video that needs to be edited or a 4-hour video that needs to be edited. But if it ever comes out of being edited, that'll be cool. Unfortunately, I learned that when you do a live stream and you edit it, the replay of chat goes away. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to let people scroll to their own beginning and not worry about, hopefully people figure out that you can just kind of click in. I just hate the idea of losing somebody for a really good session where they could learn some stuff and then lose all the replay. There's going to be valuable discussion in there. But I am kind of watching with this having only about 30 BTC volume, 24-hour volume. I don't really expect it to move very quickly. So when you see this kind of stuff, it's purely from what Bitcoin is doing. And there's a really good chance that I'm getting in here just after the little speed up. This may be a long stream, it may be a short one. We'll certainly find out. Lots of Morse code stair stepping. That's the official term for this, of course. This is Morse code, and this is stair stepping. So yeah, what is our deal? What is our goal? Why are we not doing stop loss? The typical strategy out there, yes, there are people that at times are able to, hey, morning SEB. At times they are not including the weighting that goes against their stop loss. And, the real hidden system that's going on there is about a 57-43 split, trying to be accurate as close to 60% of the time as possible, which doesn't usually work doing the traditional system. And what you do is you set your stop loss to, the right measure of risk versus reward, profit and loss, planning against what is it worth, what is the probability. And so, you're planning for failure just as much as you're planning for success. Use the charts to make a really good decision. You give yourself lots of time for things to go through. You use tons of money on the positions that you're doing. And then as long as you lose slightly less than what you're earning, you can count on that the majority of the time. So if you have a lot of money to do things that way, that's fine. Or if you have a long time that you don't need to touch your money, that you can kind of let it compound, then that can eventually work over time as well. What we found is that in learning how to do trading, we were right a lot more often than what the average was saying. And then we continued to not lose, and we realized that the smart thing to do, if the market sense to wait around away, and by working a lot harder, you can take little 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5% positions and slam them together and make a lot more headway with adding those all up together. So that's what we've been working towards, and we found that worked for a little while. Found that it worked for a little while longer than that. And as we continued forward, we didn't have our first loss until after 1,170 trades. And at that point in time, it wasn't really a loss so much as we decided to take 0% profit, just not to get stuck in a position. So obviously, as you go along, you do thousands of trades, and the market's going down 60% of the time, and then another 50, and then another 60 after that. some things only have about 10% their value, you're going to hit some holds along the way, some huddles, which we have. We have about a 98 point, and ours are, we measured at one point over the past month, we had about 13 coins that we were hodling positions on. And, that was out of 6,000 trades. So, the trick there is that if you're holding, the hold is the side of whatever the current trade is. So you do have to very much protect your circulation and make sure that you don't run out of money. If you run out of money, then you're not good enough to trade this way. We need to have a feel for what's happening. And so we're just really enjoying the process. The stress is pretty intense, but I think there's nothing that's worth your time, nothing that's worth sweating over. It comes with that, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, let's look at Bitcoin again. Okay, so it's continuing to weaken here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that to start accelerating, to start coming down towards the low 3600s, maybe even, whenever there's movement in a direction, you're always looking for things that other people will be interested in. Oh my gosh, do you think it's going to drop below 3600? Yeah, if it hits 3600 and a penny, there's going to be a lot of stress for people to either freak out and start selling off, or to start layering up. And people that really know this stuff can look pretty quickly and see whether the buys are starting to weight in their favor or the sells are starting to weight in their favor. But people look for certain amounts, and that's really the only reason that the math goes that way. Everybody is watching the same thing, so eventually they end up causing stuff to happen. I'll be writing and talking and showing examples of self-fulfilling prophecy all over the place, because it's one of the biggest things about trading. But the important thing to know is that if you are not trying to devise a plan around how well you do in hedging your losses and being marginally right most of the time, then this is very different from gambling. Gambling, when your hand isn't what you thought it was going to be and you have to fold, you lose your money. Now, that's not to say that hodls aren't some kind of loss, but as long as you're holding them, you haven't lost anything yet. You've gained an asset that is worth less than when you started. I don't know if you see what I see, but I see a lot of up and down going on here. So let's say you thought something was going to be here and it goes down here. Well, yeah, that's a shame, but you still own it. In gambling, you put the quarter in and you don't get 3 cherries, then, or 3 bars or whatever, then, you lose your coin. In this case, you buy a coin, it's your coin. And eventually most of them have their periods where they spike. And if you're good at determining when that is, let me make sure I didn't, okay, mute is correct. Is if you get a good feel for this stuff, then things tend to come around more often than not. So what we found is that even with hodls, there's a certain period of time where we watch to see, how long has it been since something old cleared. And for that remaining 1.3% of the time that we're wrong, we tend to have about an 80% accuracy of those eventually clearing as well. So that's kind of the name of the game right there. Kind of how it works. So very, very cool. Yep, this might be one of those where I just kind of pop in to say hi. Not sure if this is going to be trading time after all. Really, seeing this kind of cliffhanger with Doc, it's really like kind of slowing down there. So I don't want to wear myself out or wear you guys out if there's not anything that I really see to do right this second. Really excited about what the market is doing though. Okay, Nano is kind of falling there too. We saw Nano holding around the 2300s again, so that was kind of cool. I have some stuff that I'll be waiting on a while for the future. It's not in this account right here. But 2600 is kind of what I'm hoping to see Nano do. And it, very similar to Nano is Waves. I'm looking for it to get primed for a position where it can pop up as high as 8,300, 8,400. And we're looking at about 2 weeks of going down. Pretty happy about what happened in our last session with Wabi. And you can see it is now down to the 3,500s. We needed it at 39.23, and I was really starting to sweat it there for a while. I was like, oh gosh, I may have gotten overly confident. And sure enough, it was like 3 hours after our session ended that it cleared. So I was happy to get to do gonna do kind of a bit of a little lightning round kind of thing here. So what I'm gonna do, one of the things that I do very much like, gotta make a mental list of these things because I'm gonna be doing a comparison video. One of the things that I like about the client, first of all, if you want to switch from one coin to another, you can do so from over here. I'll say, hey, I want to go to D&T. Cool, you can do it. Hey, I want to go to Steam. Cool, you can do it. If you need to get the clutter out of the way really quick, and we're not talking, hoarder traders buried alive, but get rid of the clutter. You can focus on just the coin that you're on. Pretty cool. So it looks like a lot of the coins that I like to trade are kind of rising to the top right now. I had decided to step away from things to work on some of the editing, so I kind of missed this thing going on. Certainly don't want to jump in at the top. And, there's got to be something better than Murphy's Law to cover the basis on this kind of stuff, but it sure does seem like anytime you don't go in up here, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. But if you do go in there, it's like no sooner do you put your trade in than it starts to drop. And then you gotta wait, and you gotta wait, and you gotta wait. So, one of the things, part of the discipline with this is that you can get in and out of a position pretty quickly, even if it's a really slow, boring position, if you just time it right. But nobody's going to care, once you have stacked these up and made all of your different profits, whether you made it while something was going up really fast and really tall, or whether you did it with some really small, low, boring positions. It all comes out to be the same money, the same profit. You have to get over the fear of missing out, that FOMO thing that gets so many people in trouble, including myself. Human nature means that we're all human, and we all have the ability to fall for the same wrong things. So you got to be careful with stuff. But once you see things accelerate, that is definitely the time to try to get on the liquidity, but you just don't want to do it at the top, and you want to make sure that you're paying attention to all the signals that could be a trap. So anyway, I'm going to do kind of a bit of a lightning round thing. I don't like to make recommendations that I wouldn't do myself, but I am being extremely cautious right now with all the changes that are happening in the market. And I'll have some other business stuff that I got to do soon. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But let's see, it's about 2:22. So I actually got SCB and Technologic are hanging out. So I don't know if you're interested in keeping track of this stuff or not. But we can see how this goes tomorrow. Tomorrow goes today. So TNT, I'm just going to kind of go down the list of the very few top things in the grid. You know what? I'm going to even expand that list. So I've only got like, what, about 20 coins there. Understood. Let's just see. Huh? Interesting. That's a pretty tall climb. See, these things have gone kind of in the opposite direction of Bitcoin. This one's coming down now. Okay, there's a little bit of room in there. Yeah. Huh. Does anybody else have trouble seeing the VWAP? Because I do. Well, yeah, black probably isn't the best color for the VWAP right now. Okay. conforming. Yay! There's an actual indicator. So I'm gonna just do a few quick calls. I'm gonna say CMT at 7:03 to sell at 7:10. TNT. I would say you could probably do 399 to 403. Okay. Oop, kind of missed the chance on that one there. Yeah, you gotta know when to hold 'em. Know when to hold 'em. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. Yeah, I got a long way to go on our huddles on RAQ. Can see where that went back to. Well, we can see exactly where that happened. So, hello. Fall from grace, made a little bit of a resurgence. Not nearly enough. But let's see, is there anything to go in on a short position here? Not shorting, but a short-term position. Nope, not doing it now. Wouldn't be prudent. Raven. Yeah, I could see that. Gosh, 303 to 306 will probably work fine for a really fast one on Raven. Nope. That's safe enough. Like that's exactly where it is right now. That's going to come down a little bit more. So 303 to 306 is all you need from DNT. That's very interesting. It's actually lower than I would think it would need to be right now. So like 75. That went down to 42 there. That went down to 75, 46-ish. Where do you normally live? Long. It's on its way back up. So right now it's at 75.86. If this comes around to 75, I'm going to say, just to be on the safe side, like, yeah, around 75.11 to 75.88 should be a safe range. You could even say, judging from where it is right now, maybe 75.30 to 7600. Don't get too confident on that going up too much higher. I'm not going to bother with Neo for now. Keep your eye on this one. Way too much Morse code. I've been vetting this one for a while. That's a lot more than usual for this even. Looks like the wow, somebody's dumping really hard on Bitcoin now. So some of this stuff is going to accelerate. Very interesting. That should actually help some of these positions to take place if anybody were to try to follow these. Just figure might as well do them versus not doing them. Ion is moving around some now. Interesting. Phoenix, really like trading Phoenix coin. On 229. It's definitely following what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin's going to recover from what it's doing right now. So this is gonna become the thing of whether Bitcoin breaks that 3,500 range or not, because somebody's doing hard selling off. So this is once again the play the short Bitcoin game. Not a fan of people doing that. I'm gonna say 228 to 232 is a good range on Phoenix. You clever. Okay. So this is actually kind of on the rise here. So in order to 0.77 looks pretty good. And you could probably do about 71.50 to clear around this range. And that's pretty, well, I mean, there is no such thing as a safe bet. But yeah, if you can get in, below where it's trending right now, 71.22-ish would probably even be okay. It's probably going to come down a little bit before it comes back up. But I like waves. I like getting in and out at the right time on that one. It's a little bit too much of a drop and too much that it has to clear. Bitcoin Diamond, oh, you shifty character. Oh, I remember that so well. Yeah. Remember that well. Okay. Nope. You know what? You don't deserve my time right now. And in cash, how are we doing over here? Still hovering. We had 49 for a while there. It's got a lot of big positions that it's got to work through. Phoenix should be getting closer into position. I think that I was saying around 228 to 232. Looks like it might just be doing 229 instead. And Theta is coming down a little bit, so that's going to be a risky one for a while. Until I saw what the volume was tracking, are people done pushing it up? Wouldn't mess with that for a little bit. TNT's still going up. That's pretty interesting. That's actually one of the ones that got me here. And Doc was the other one. In fact, I'll just switch over to my favorite peers now. So Doc, I was thinking yeah, I mean 240 to 242 is really all I was trying to do, but now it's going to have to come back down to there. And the question is, when it comes back down, does it keep coming back down? Because the volume is still dropping very, very low. So yeah, now's not really the time for don't want to do that thing where I get tired of waiting and just go ahead and go in on something and then have to wait like a 5-hour retracement out. So it's just kind of fun to pop in here and go live for a little bit of this stuff. GBT has a lot of room there. That's interesting. Let's take a look at what that looks like with the Bollinger. Hello. Yeah, so it's about to break the bottom of the Bollinger, and that would need to do about 100. So 10,320, 10,420. Nope, that's way too much. Don't trust it for that long of a period of time. But interesting nonetheless. That might be your kind of thing. Who knows? A little bit too weak for the binary that we're looking. All of these things, there's a formula to the logical math side of things, but then there's, just really and truly the personality of the coin, which obviously is driven by the type of people that are comfortable trading them. And so you kind of get into this, very quick mental acrobatics about the volume versus the value versus the amount of trades versus the volume versus the trades versus the speed of the activity on the coin. Keep coming back around to Ion because it's more likely to eat through those trades than some of the others. 32.25, 322. Kind of comes down. Really, 322, 325 is not so bad on that one. Well, guys, I'm going to get back to some editing. Just thought I'd pop in here. I saw some of the interesting activity on BTC, and it looks like it is still kind of doing a little bit of a steady decline. My personal feeling is that people are kind of recapturing the bottoms on there, so unless it's a really large amount that somebody's got to sell off, I think that it's going to keep playing this game for a bit. What I would like to see happen is for it to be able to survive bouncing before it hits 3,600. Looks like within the next hour we'll be able to tell whether it's going to be able to do that or not. So I might even come back on and do another live session if that's the case, if things are getting more interesting. So for right now, I'm out. Thank you guys for joining Archangel Alts, trading live without a net.